guys, it's Tina with my homesteading project. I guess I shouldn't say guys today because this video is going to be just for you gals out there. Sorry guys, not for you. Today we are going to talk about menstrual pad patterns. Yay! How exciting, right? I have decided to make some new menstrual pads for myself, and I'm also going to be making some for someone else. And since my DIY menstrual pad video has been one of my more popular videos, I thought that you might like to learn how to make your own pattern. Now you can go and order patterns, pay for patterns online, or you can find a lot of them for free. But everybody's shaped differently. You know, you want a different shape or a different length or a different style, exposed core or hidden core. There's a million different ways to make pads. So why not just make your own pattern? So that's what we're going to work on today. So let's get a close-up here and we will get started. Okay, so apologize for the mess, but these are, as you can see, I've been making different patterns out of newspaper, out of graph paper, out of regular drawing and computer paper. You can draw it on anything you want. And then after I decide what pattern I like, I'm going to go ahead and use this template paper, this Mylar template paper, and if you can see, I don't know if you can see that, it was on clearance at Walmart for $3, but it was 50% off. So actually, I got this for $1.50, and there's 6 sheets in here that I can make patterns out of once I decide on my final pattern. But anyway, okay, the easiest way. Well, first let me show you. I've been working on some pads, so I've got kind of a squared off pad with pointy tips. There's one. And then I've got a little narrower with the pointy tabs. And then I've got kind of an hourglass shape that I kind of made. And then I did an exposed core. And then I did another exposed core with kind of that hourglass shape from the other one. Kind of liked that shape. So those are kind of some of the ones that I've come up with. This is the original, what I've been using for 7 years, is this pattern here. So I just thought, I like this pattern, but it is a little wide through here. So I'm going to make them, as you can see from the ones I've already done, I made them a little bit narrower. And I think I want them just a little bit longer. So this is a 9-inch that I originally made, and so I've been doing 10 inches, and I actually made one 11-inch. But let's get a little bit closer, and I will show you how to make your own pattern. So any paper will work. Right now I'm using this because I've got tons of this. I don't even know where I got it, but let's get that out of the way for a minute. Okay, so you're going to take 2 pieces of paper that are long enough for your pad to fit on, okay? So this is about roughly, it's probably a little more than 12 inches. And then you're going to fold it in half and fold it in half again. And you want 2 pieces because you're going to cut out, you need one for your top and bottom and one for your core. Depending on the type of pad you're going to make. We're just going to assume that it's going to be a hidden core pad. So what we're going to do is, where's my fold? Okay, so you want, here's the inside fold, here's the outside. Or here's inside, inside, outside, outside, okay? So what we're going to do, and I hope you can see this okay, is, so this right here, this bottom fold, this is the middle of the pad, okay? So the very center where your tab is going to be. And this is where your end is going to be, okay? So I want to make a 10-inch pad. So what I'm going to do is take my nice clear quilting ruler, and I'm going to line it up with my edges, and I'm going to mark 5 inches because that'll be half of my 10-inch pad. So we're going to mark right there at 5 inches. Here, maybe I should move you over to the side. Maybe you can see a little bit better. Sorry for the jiggliness. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay, can you see that? So there we marked 5 inches. So our total length will be 10 inches. Now down here at the bottom, this is where the end of my tab is going to be. Now I like to have the tabs from end to end be 7 inches because that gives you enough room to snap all the way around. So half of 7 inches is 3.5 inches. So we will line that up there and do 3.5 inches. And we're going to mark here, that's where the end of our tab is going to be. Okay? I'm also going to put a second mark because since this is the center of our pad, I want the center of my pad to be about 2.5 inches. The average, I guess, is really roughly 2 to 2.5 inches or 2 3/4 inches in the center. So since we want it to be 2.5 inches, I want to do 1 1/4. And so I'm going to put on 1 1/4 and line it up with the bottom. And I'm going to put a line here as well. Now, I like for the base of my tabs, here, let's see. I like for the width of this to be about 3 inches. Okay, so since it's folded in half, we're going to measure 1.5 inches up, okay? So, at 1.5 inches, by 3.5 inches, I am going to put another line right about here, because here's where my 1 1/4 mark is. There's where my other mark is. At this point, you can draw a shape and then add your tabs, or you can do whatever you want. Here, let's go ahead, and so I know this is where the end of my tab is going to be. So this is the part that's going to stick out, and this is my center. So you know what? We're just going to draw. Let me turn it so you can see better. This is the center, and we're just going to draw. We'll just bump it out a little bit. And that's the shape we're going to go with, okay? Sound good? And like I said, you can draw any shape you want. You can do straight lines if it's easier to sew straight for you. You can do very curvy hourglass like the other one that I did, okay? And then now I'm going to draw from there, for my tabs, from there to there, I'm just going to do the pointy tabs. Okay? So now there's my tabs. So now there's our pad shape. There's our pad shape, okay? Now what we need is, I like to put a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around, okay? So the easiest tool I've found to do that is my hem ruler. And I don't know if all of you have this. If not, you can just use a regular ruler or a quilting square, you know, anything that works, whatever you have handy. But this, I can set, all right, zoom in. This I can set at 1/4 inch and do my seam allowance all the way around. So here's how you do that. So I'm going to hold up my ruler, and on the outside, I'm just going to do some dashed lines at 1/4 of an inch, and that's where I'm going to actually cut my fabric, because that's where my seam allowance needs to be. And I do keep this one handy too, so that I can just line that up with my little dashes. Line this up with my little dashes, and I can go to the end here. Oh, my pen doesn't want to write. There we go. So you're going to do that all the way around your shape. Okay. I know this is super exciting. I hope I'm in frame. Okay. And if you're more comfortable with a larger seam allowance, if you want 1/2 inch, go ahead and add 1/2 inch. That's fine. These are your pads. This is just for you. And however it's easier for you to sew, go ahead and do it that way. But I'm just used to doing 1/4 of an inch. If you want to do 5/8 of an inch, I mean, whatever it is that you're comfortable with. Okay, so there is our seam allowance. Okay, so that's how it looks. Let's zoom back out a little bit. Oop. Zoom out. Okay, so that's how it looks when you have your shape of your pad. So this is what it's going to look like, your pad, and then there's your seam allowance. So what we're going to do is make sure that these pieces are together good, and take your paper scissors, not your fabric scissors, your paper scissors, and you're going to cut on that line, that dotted line, not the solid line, the dotted line. Okay, and that's pretty good. I didn't quite get that perfect. Oh well. Okay, so there we have our pad cut, our main pattern cut out for our topper and our bottom. Now the reason why we cut out 2, see, that's what our pad's going to look like when we're done, which will be very nice. But why I had to cut out 2 is because what we're going to do with this one, actually, this one I will leave, that's not drawn on, I'm going to leave that for my top and my bottom. This one here that I already have drawn on, I can see where I want my pad to be. So I'm going to fold this one, just the one, back up, okay? This is the one we just cut out. What I'm going to do now is, when you sew your pads, let me grab one. Okay. When you sew your outside pads and you have your 1/4 inch seam allowance on a stitch and flip, you know, when you stitch it right sides together and flip it inside out so that you have this type of an edge. Okay. You did a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So when you fold it over, you're going to have a 1/4 inch of fabric right here, okay? So you want your core to be right there where that ends, right where your seam allowance ends, so it won't be too bulky on the edge. So what you want to do is, on this pattern here, here's our 1/4 inch. When we stitch it here, we're going to be folding it in, and you're going to have a 1/4 inch here. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense for you. Just trust me. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to go in a 1/4 inch from this line and make another dotted line here, and that's going to be the size of my core. Now I know when you do it, it's not going to look right, but trust me, it will turn out perfect. Okay? So we're going to take our little, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. We're going to take our little hem ruler here again, and now I'm going to mark on the inside I'm going to do a dotted line on this one, if I can get it to hold still. So now we're going to do a 1/4 inch on the inside. So roughly 1/2 inch from the edge of this pattern is where we're doing our new line. Now if it's easier for you, you can go from the outside edge and do a 1/2 inch, or you can just do it like this. I hope you can see okay, and do a 1/4 inch. So I'm putting the edges of my little blue thing here on my pad line again, and now I'm going a 1/4 inch the other direction. And this time we're going to go all the way down because we don't need the wings for the core. So we're going to just keep following this line for the shape of our pad so that it'll be the 2.5 inches wide. Okay? So see, now we've got another dotted line. Now this is our core right here in the middle. So we're going to take this again, and we are going to cut on the new dotted line. And make sure you hold your paper together well. Okay, so now this, we don't need this, okay? Now this is going to be the core for our pad. So this will go in there like that. See? And that's how easy it is to make your own 1/4 fold pattern. If you want asymmetrical, the same length at the top, the same length at the bottom. Now, that's what I prefer. But if you prefer asymmetrical patterns where it's longer at the top, or shorter at the top and longer at the bottom, I went ahead and drew out an asymmetrical pattern. And you're going to do it the same way that you just did the other one. You're going to have your 2 pieces of paper folded together, and then you'll just make your measurements like you did the other pad, only you're only going to fold this in half, because that way right and left sides will be together, top and bottom are going to be different. So on this one I decided I just went ahead with the square shape on this one. I did 3.5 inches here, and I did 4 or 4.5, I can't remember, inches at the bottom. And then I decided I wanted it 3 inches, 3 inches where the wing is, and then 4 inches at the bottom. And this is actually 11-inch pad. And that's how I did, and I added my 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then I would cut that out and do the exact same thing for the core on this one as well. So that is the easy peasy way to make your own pattern, other than tracing out a pad that you already have. But I decided I wanted something different. So there you have it. So you can do any shape you want. And the reason why there's so many different shapes is because each one of these would be somebody's favorite. Okay, so I'm going to try out some different shapes and styles and lengths and decide which one I love the best, and then I will go ahead and make my permanent template and make those pads. So if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below. I'm not going to show you how to sew the different pads together. I may do some different tutorials for the different styles, because I did some exposed core and I did some hidden core. Some of them have pull and some of them have just the fleece. So there's a million different ways to make your pads. So we'll go ahead and cover a couple of these different patterns in later videos. And as always, you guys remember, God is good. You guys have a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.